Well, in this week's episode of Growing, Eating, and Educating, we're sitting down with NanBop Farm Director Jason Abraham to discuss this year's maple tapping and all that comes with it.
Yeah, good morning, Jason. Thanks for joining us. So let's talk about just the process of maple tapping. I know you're past that now, but we'll touch on it.
Yep. So first thing you do is you identify your trees. You want to go after your sugar maples. You can identify that on the leaf with the round bottom on the leaf lobe. You're going to tap about 2 inches into the tree at an upward angle. You're going to tap in what's called a spile, and then your drop line. And that drop line is going to go to whatever you're collecting in. We use food grade buckets. And so we've got about 350 gallons right now of sap that we've harvested, and we are currently in the process of cooking. We store it in food grade buckets and food grade 55-gallon drums in our walk-in refrigerator so it stays fresh.
Is this just all from trees right here on the property?
This is all from trees just around the pond at the farm.
Wow.
So we've got about 35 maples that we've tapped down there.
And you got how many gallons?
A little over 300.
300 gallons.
Yeah. So currently we're in the process of boiling it off, and as you can see here, what we're doing is we're adding the syrup straight into it. So some people will say don't do this, and some people will say do it. So there's 3 grades of color. When you cook out your sap, you're going to get a golden color, an amber color, and a dark color. So it's going to be delicate. It's going to be the delicate flavor, the robust flavor. We wanted to make a little bit of the robust a little darker. It's used in cooking and things like that. And some people actually prefer the more rich flavor. I'm one of the ones that prefers the darker over the lighter. And you know what you're doing is you're going to boil it to 215 degrees, get almost all the water off of it, and then you're going to pull it off. And we actually take it inside at that point. We're going to do what's called the finish cook, and we're going to take that up to 219 degrees. And then I use a refractometer, and what I'm going to do is put a little bit of that sugar liquid on the refractometer. I'm going to look at a light and see where my Brix is, which is tells you the sugar content. So we're looking for 66 to 68.9%. Anything over that is considered too thick, and anything under that is not considered maple syrup. And that is the Canadian and Vermont standards, which set the standard here in the United States and in Canada for how to grade the syrup. It is a labor of love. You can see we have 2 different types of fuel. We're using a propane fuel and then also a sap burner that we built here on the farm as well out of a steel drum. And it's, you see all those bubbles on the surface. That's where the impurities will start boiling up, your grains of dirt and dust and things like that. Now we do triple filter this liquid. We filter it when we put it into the pans, we filter it coming out of the pans, and then we filter it again with the triple filter once it's cooked to the consistency we want. And then at that point we'll go ahead and get our numbers, and and you can see here's the refractometer, put a little bit of the sugar water on, close the lid, which will actually help keep the sugar water in contact with the lens, and then you look in, and there's a gradient inside of there from 45 to 99, and we're looking, like I said, to get above 66 and under 69. Wow. And once we hit that point, we go ahead and decant it into ball jars, and we will then let that cool, and just like when you're canning, as you're cooling, it's going to suck that lid in, and as long as that lid gets sucked in, once it cools, it is then shelf stable. So it's very similar to anything you can and boil for 40-45 minutes after you've canned it. You're going to have that shelf stability, which is wonderful.
Do you do this all in a day? Like, this is impressive. Like, you know, your knowledge just impresses
me. Start to finish,
me.
yeah. Like once you pick it up from the ground under the tree, how long does this take for?
So what we have done is we've collected all the sap first for about 3 weeks. We'll get one last little round here at the end that we can go out and collect after this snowstorm has come through. We got about 5 more days, I think, that we'll be able to collect, and then we store it until we start. Once we start, we process between 60 and 80 gallons a day with the process of running 2 at a time. Wow. And it's very easy to do, but it's very tedious in terms of attention. You've really got to stay on top of it. You can't just walk away for 2 hours and come back, because then you'll scorch your syrup.
All right, so I know this isn't going to be a simple answer, but to get to Rachel's question, I mean, if you're just talking one load and it's from start to finish, whatever fits in in the cooker,
like a gallon, maybe?
How long does that process take if you were just to do not necessarily one at a time, but just one batch at a time? There you go.
So you can do it that way, and that we've pivoted over to that. Once we got the amount of dark that we wanted, we're now going for much lighter golden. Okay. And so in today we will probably burn off, that is a hotel pan that holds 5 gallons of liquid. We'll probably burn off 4 of those today. So
Okay.
you're looking about 20, 25 gallons all the way down into syrup. Because we're doing such a large quantity, we're not taking it all the way down to syrup quite yet. We're getting very close to it.
What is that?
So that is the impurities. So the
Oh,
dirt,
okay.
the dirt, grime, cloudiness that's inside the sap from the tree itself.
Got it.
And then as you boil it to the sugar content, so it's just like making caramel, right? You want to boil off all the water before the temperature starts to rise. That temperature is not going to go above 215 until that sugar is just sugar and there's no more water in it. It's the exact same thing here on the syrup. So until that happens, you're not getting syrup until you
Right.
boil off all the water. And once you boil off that water, you start to get what's called niter or potassium nitrate, which is the salt, potassium salt of nitrate. So you have to pull that out. You get sugar sand, which can appear as a cloudy mixture in the actual finished syrup. And that's why we triple filter. We have 2 paper filters and then 1 synthetic filter. And you want to make sure you get the filters wet because if you try to pour hot liquid through a dry filter, you're going to get a hydrophobic situation where that filter does not want to let any moisture through it. And it'll take 3 and 4 times the amount of time to get that filtered than if you do it on a wet filter.
So all that, plus then you got to go into bottling,
Yep.
labeling. People can get this at the farm, farmers markets. What happens in the last stage?
So the intention this year, we're definitely in a proof of concept. I want to make sure what we pull out of those trees does give a good tasting. And then the intention is to go ahead and bottle that off and either make it available at farmers markets or down here at the farm. But as we get closer and get to bottling, we'll definitely broadcast that on the website and hopefully come back on here and talk about, here it's ready. Go to the website, go to barntodoor.com and take a look.
You need taste testers though?
Yeah,
Always,
let us know.
always. Come on down to the farm ops building and take a look, and I'll show you guys what we're doing and let
I
you
would
taste
love
it.
that.
It's really cool. It's a lot of fun.
Awesome. Thank you, Jason.
Thanks, Jason.
You're welcome.
Good to have you back.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.